a very spirited edition of the Vol View, which starts right now.
In Tennessee.
Oh, indeed it is. And it is a matchup. It is a rivalry. It is a stage for Tennessee to end a long, long streak. Tennessee and Florida, a rivalry that stretches many, many years. The heart of the rivalry was throughout the 1990s, Steve Spurrier and the Florida Gators, Philip Fulmer and my Tennessee Volunteers, two college football Hall of Fame coaches, two of the greatest coaches in the history of the SEC, two programs that frankly dominated the conference, ran the conference over the course of the 1990s. They clash, unfortunately, for the final time, at least in the time period in which they would meet annually. Like next year they don't play, so like the Tennessee-Florida rivalry, with the SEC going to only 3 consistent rivalry games a year, Tennessee-Florida, they're not going to match up. I think Tennessee's rivalry games moving forward, Alabama, Vanderbilt, and Kentucky. Florida is not included in that. There's not as much history at the Tennessee-Florida rivalry. It's not as old as Kentucky, Alabama, and Vanderbilt. I would argue 2 of those 3 games, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, are pretty one-sided rivalries, but I digress. The last time the Tennessee Volunteers won in the Swamp, I was 3 months old. It was 2003. It was the last time the Vols went to Ben Hill Griffin Stadium in Gainesville, Florida, and got a W. They've lost 10 consecutive games against Florida. Well, in this spot, if there were ever an opportunity to knock off a team that has owned you. I said 2 years ago when the Vols lost to Florida in Gainesville, I remember coming out on my show the next day and saying, I literally think we're cursed there. I think we become a shell of ourselves in that stadium. So you talk about some of the Tebow years, you talk about when he dominated us. In particular, 2015 and 2017 will still haunt me as a Vols fan forever. 2015, you're up 13 in the fourth quarter on Florida, and then Will Greer, who ends up getting kicked off the team when it's all said and done, leads back-to-back scoring drives, including a 4th and a mile to Antonio Callaway. Aaron Medley misses the walk-off field goal by 2 inches. That was heartbreaking, and not as much as 2017. The Hail Mary, Felipe Franks, who's not even a quarterback anymore. I think he's a tight end in the NFL now. With a bomb. I mean, as beautiful of a deep ball as you'll ever see. A Hail Mary to Tyreek Cleveland to win the game. So Tennessee has come that close on a couple of occasions, have not been able to close the deal in Gainesville. Vols in the spot are a 4.5-point favorite, and it's been a tumultuous week for Tennessee. Boo Carter, who I've talked about in the show, like kind of the do-it-all, can be on special teams and defense and all this. He's gone. He is entering the transfer portal. He is leaving the Tennessee Volunteers. Not terribly shocking when you consider the drama in the offseason. He was sent home for the football program. It was a question of whether he would even be with Tennessee at all this season. And so the fact that he was sent home, the fact that he is not going to finish the season with Tennessee, it mostly stems from the fact that he said he was not healthy enough to play against New Mexico State last Saturday. And so he didn't show up at Neyland Stadium at all. Like, it wasn't a situation where he was there, he didn't dress. No, he was not present at Neyland Stadium last Saturday. And so Josh Heupel, the Vols program, was like, okay, he's been more, the juice is not worth the squeeze. He's been fine, but not nearly what we expect from him this season. Good luck in your future endeavors. It's just not going to work here moving forward. But with that being said, Last week, New Mexico State, Vols took care of business. Didn't cover, but still took care of business, 42-9. No surprise there. Joey Aguilar did have a couple of interceptions. Joey that's kind of his MO. Even going back to Appy State, he is a bit turnover prone on the season. He has 10 picks in 10 games. But when I think about this Vols team, I think about high-flying offense. I think about Joey Aguilar, top 10 in the SEC in passing, and Deshaun Bishop, top 10 in the SEC in rushing. Chris Braslew's top 10, or I think leading the SEC, rather, in receiving yards. I think about a team that's going to be facing a Florida defense that has fallen off big time in recent weeks, but has shown ability to be really good. They completely shut down Miami's offense. And we think about Miami, they could be in the college football playoff when it's all said and done. They've had their moments. If there were ever an opportunity to go to Gainesville, go to the Swamp, you're playing a 3-7 football team. Just recently they put up a nice fight against Ole Miss, but got blown out by Kentucky a couple of weeks back. That's on their interim coach. That's talking about hiring Lane Kiffin at the end of the season, before the season even concludes. If there were ever an opportunity to get the Florida Gators, it's this one. And I will confess, I'm not even kidding. This game scares me more than next week against the Vanderbilt Commodores, who, if they went out, very well could be in the college football playoff. Why is that? That game's at Neyland Stadium, so that helps. Tennessee has beaten Florida the last 2 years at Neyland Stadium, whereas in Gainesville hasn't been since 2003 since we won there. That's number one. Number two, all the smack, all the smoke that Diego Pavia and that Vanderbilt Commodores team has given this Tennessee team in the offseason. They talked a big game. Okay, let's see if they can back it up at Neyland Stadium with 100,000 strong. We'll see how that plays out next Saturday. Tennessee going to be in the minority. Even though the Gators are bad, those fans are going to show up doing the Gator chomp. They're going to be going crazy. They're going to be singing Tom Petty, Won't Back Down. Tebow might be there. Heck, Fowler and Herbstreit are calling the game. So it still feels big, even if the ramifications aren't quite what they were in the 1990s. I'm nervous for it, but I think Tennessee gets off to a little bit of a rocky start. Heupel makes adjustments. They pull in the second half. Give me the Vols, baby. -4.5 to win this one pretty comfortably, 31-17. I think they have a big second half offensively. Joey Aguilar settles in. Chris Brazel makes a couple of plays, and the Vols win this game over the Florida Gators, 31-17. Guys, I sunk a broken record. If there were ever an opportunity to get the Florida Gators in Gainesville, in the Swamp, where you have not won in 2 decades, it would be this year. 10-game losing streak. That sucker comes to an end. Go Vols. Let's knock off Florida. Let's get those chompers out of here. Let's get those chompers out of here. Give Tennessee a good win late season against the Florida Gators. That is it for this week's edition of the Vol View. So it's, like I said, that there's a part of me that's nervous because I have, with my own eyes, a Vols win over the Gators has happened in my lifetime, very early in my lifetime. I've never witnessed it with my own eyes. A Vols win over Tennessee and Gainesville. But I have just this weird, sneaky suspicion. It might be because the Florida Gators are 3-7. I feel like it's going to work this time. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.